This should be the ultimate road bike. This is the BMC Team Machine SLR01, the absolute range topping, 5-figure price tag race thoroughbred. But normally this would just come out of a box. Most bike shops would just take it out of the box, put the handlebars on, pop the tires up, sold. That's not how we work here. We spoke to our customer, we knew exactly what we were trying to achieve, and normally we would buy frames like this. But in this case, we had to buy the whole bike and make some significant modifications to make it suitable for our rider. It's a bit like buying a tailored suit versus something off the peg. This is somewhere in between. We've taken something off the peg and we're applying a lot of details to this to make sure it is as tailored as we can possibly can be. Now this frame is over £4,000 if you were able to buy it off the shelf, which sadly we weren't able to do, but we've taken it apart. We're going to show you all the little intricate details to show you the quality that you can expect, and it isn't as perfect as you might think. Okay, let's take a look. First up, headset bearing mounts. These have actually been machined beautifully flat. You can run your finger on there, it is a silky smooth surface, and the headset bearings fit absolutely beautifully. That is a slip fit. It goes in with just a little bit of light pressure. There's no wobble in there at all. Fits like a glove, like it should. You might remember we talked about the look. It has that little bit of wobble. It doesn't really matter because it's a cone going into a cone, but if you end up with a gap, it's just somewhere that water and sweat can accumulate. And I like it when it's like this because if anything does come loose, you've only got a small problem. When you've got play there, a small amount of play becomes a large amount of play quite quickly. So it's nice when something fits as perfectly as that. Looking down the head tube, the inside of this frame is immaculate. It is silky smooth. You can run your finger around almost any part of this, and it's almost as smooth on the inside as it is the outside. It really is a work of art in there. Down at the dropouts, and we have some interesting stuff happening here. First of all, you can tell that the machine's been quality checked, then masked up and then painted, and I don't think it's been QC'd after that because there's a few little things in here, but the faces are all beautifully smooth. Everything lines up beautifully. Now, an interesting feature of this, you can see that this drive side is completely blanked off. It's got this beautiful race finish, like you can't see the bolts, you can't see the mech hanger, it's all beautifully finished in the frame. Whether that makes it all aero or not, I don't know. Now, fitting your wheel into here, first of all, these faces have all been meticulously finished, love that. There's a big chunk of aluminium which has been bored and threaded, love that. And the actual mounting bolt is high up as well. There is a lot of carbon material down there to work with, which I like. Now, there's sort of three methods of fixing your axle into this side. Sometimes you have those two-piece mech hangers where the actual thread is a part of the aluminium of the mech hanger. Very repairable, very easy, very cheap to make. You get this sort of a system where you have an aluminium insert inside the frame, or sometimes you actually see threads cut into the carbon, which is terrifying. So for longevity, durability, this is not my favorite, but in terms of this is a race thoroughbred bike. I mean, this is only ever going to get serviced by us, only ever used on a race course. And I think with that much material to work with, if there ever was a problem, it's going to be fairly easy to repair as well. So I'm really, really happy with that. The disc brake mounts could be better. It looks like they've been finished, but then masked off and then painted, which means you've just got a tiny little ridge of paint, which is okay when you're using a brake caliper without an adapter. So let's say you were just fitting this direct and using 140mm rotors, no problem. When you're fitting 160mm rotors, you need to make sure that this flat area is at least as big as the size of the adapter as well. And this isn't, so we're just gonna take a nail file to this and just remove that tiniest little edge so that we've got a completely flat interface with the bottom of the mount adapter as well. So there's a little bit of work there. It could have been a lot better from BMC out of the factory. It's just got that tiny, tiny little rock on it. Doesn't need a full face, it just needs that tiny little bit of paint just smoothing off. It's annoying. Inside the seat post, absolutely immaculate in there. Again, super smooth, just like you'd expect. I've got absolutely no problem with that. The seat post design is lovely as well. It's actually got an integrated Di2 battery holder, which I really like. It's got a way of stopping any sort of vibration, so really cleverly thought out. The bottom bracket is sadly a very different story, and it's not atrocious, but it is far from the perfect status we're looking for on a frame like this. Now, the The drive side is absolutely perfectly smooth and perfectly round, but it is undersized. Sadly, the non-drive side is also undersized and there's evidence of a void in there as well. This should be absolutely perfect. This should have been picked up in quality control and that should have been repaired. It shouldn't be up to us to sort it out. We're going to come back to this problem in a second, but first just let me show you the fork quickly. Okay, this is the fork. Again, the drive side has got this blanked off finish to it as well. Looks absolutely amazing. And there's plenty of carbon material to work with there if there's ever a problem in the future. Internally routed, the actually inside of the steerer is actually filled with this sort of a foam core, and then rather than a compression bung, you actually sort of screw something into it to make sure you've got your compression top cap as well. So this is all beautifully finished, super smooth, and the brake mounts on this as well are ever so slightly elevated, made of metal, and they are super flat. We've had the jig on that. The fork is perfect. What to do about this bottom bracket then? See, getting hold of this bike in the first place was quite problematic. It's a size 51, there wasn't an awful lot of stock around. We initially had an order in for a Look RS Blade, couldn't get hold of one of those. Trying to find the right bike was actually getting quite difficult and we were rapidly running out of time before the race season. And as much as I want to send this back to BMC and make them fix it, my first duty is to my customer and making sure that they're on the start line of their big race with a perfect bike ready to go. And this isn't so bad that I can't fix it. Now, let me show you what led me to that conclusion. First up, our 40.85 gauge. This should be a slip fit into here, which it is. This is pushes in and comes out again with hand pressure. That's a good sign. You can do that on both sides. Hand pressure in, hand pressure out. With this fact alone, if we were to fit a nylon bottom bracket, it'd probably be absolutely fine, have no problems with it over the course of its life. However, we need to fit a SRAM dub because we are fitting the customer's preference, which is SRAM red on this. And I have to say, it is a great group set. I love it. But the SRAM dub axle and the PF41 are not great bedfellows because you don't have a lot to play with. I mean, if I just thread this axle through without any bearing, you can see that we only really have 5 or 6 millimeters around the diameter there to really have a bearing surface in there. I'm also encouraged by the fact that our parallels fit in here absolutely beautiful as well, with no obvious gap to worry about. And they can rotate, and as I look, I really can't see any gap that gives me any cause for concern. So I'm fairly happy with the alignment. So this is the bottom bracket that we pulled out of the frame. This is the PF41 or BB86 to SRAM dub. And lots of brands kind of make these now. Rotor make quite a good one, Hope make one, and SRAM make one. It's not a great design because they say the bearings are very small. And in the Shimano system, you'd be fitting nylon cups. There's enough compliance in that material to work with that. With these, there's no compliance in here to give us any sort of leeway. So these bearings are damaged. I mean, they've got like a tiny little notch into them just there. And they're definitely not spinning as well as they should be. So these have already been compressed by that undersized bottom bracket. Not a great solution, especially for an absolute state-of-the-art race bike. So my plan with this bike before I even got to this stage was to actually fit one of these. This is a BB Infinite one-piece bottom bracket. It uses a really strange bearing size, a 40-37 bearing, which is quite unusual. This is just the standard ABEX 7.1, no ceramic nonsense in here at all. And this really does help with this type of bottom bracket. If you can get the alignment right on these sort of small bearings, it really does help. Now, I know that Hambini has spoken out about these, but in reality, I still think this is the best way to deal with BB86 and a SRAM dub axle. You can argue that out in the comments as much as you want, but this is my preference and I'll show you the result at the end. Remember, we're talking race thoroughbred here, not everyday commuting bike. Just to show you a rough scope of the problem, these are the Hambini gauges. This is the 40.95 and that does not fit in at all on either side. Okay, the plan of action then is, we know we've got some material to work with here. I know they're round, I know they're aligned, they're just undersized, and we've got that small void to contend with as well. In this situation, I would not use those cutting tools. I wouldn't risk using a cutting tool where I can see evidence of a small void. We're going to go in there with the honing tool very, very light grit sandpaper and try and bring this whole thing up to a 40.98 diameter so we can put that BB Infinite bottom bracket in. Now, in that process, I strongly suspect that that tiny void is going to disappear because it is so shallow. If it doesn't, or another one manifests itself, this is going back to BMC, absolutely no question about it. I'm going to photograph and document absolutely everything in case there's any questions about their warranty. But really, I think it's a fairly easy fix. It's going to take me some time, but that time is way better than trying to send this back to warranty, get another one, when I can get this customer riding on this, and I'm fairly confident with my skills in doing this. The reality of it is that I think every other bike shop would have just sold it with that SRAM bottom bracket and it would have been sent out the door as it is. This is probably above and beyond what nearly every other bike shop would ever do. So I think we're at a fairly win-win situation with it anyway. Okay, let's get started. I'll show you what we do.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh,
Okay, that's the bottom bracket sorted. I'm really glad with how this came out. It worked really, really well actually. It's so nice knowing that you're working with something fundamentally round in the first place. And using our 40.95 gauge, this is now, it's like a sort of a sticky fit. It takes a little bit of hand pressure to push it in and to pull it out. It's not a slip fit. It's got some resistance in there, and same on both sides. And again, it was just a matter of taking my time, being careful, measuring, being confident, just a little bit at a time, keeping things wet, always checking. The little void has all but disappeared. There's just the tiniest little shadow of where that void was, and it's come out super smooth. I'll put some pictures up so you can kind of see. So I think BMC have avoided having a return thrown at them. So before we can put a bottom bracket into this now, we need to run that brake hose so we know that's done. We're going to also make sure that we're using some pipe insulation. It actually came with that pipe insulation and it's nowhere near adequate because it's just going to flap around no matter what insulation you put in. So we're going to put some zip ties in there as well to support it and make sure that is fully supported, no chance of rattling. And then I'll film putting the bottom bracket in. So these BB Infinite ones work very, very similar to the Hambini ones. We have a drift, we have a receiving cup, and we go in from the non-drive side. Next part of this crazy building is the crankset. Now, as this comes out of the box, you know, as you'd buy it on the internet or whatever, it comes with 170mm cranks, which for a 51cm frame, I think is absolutely brilliant. But it does come with a rather tasty 4835, which is a rather large chainring for the size of person that might be riding a size 51 frame, don't you think? I guess the terrain may vary, but much more familiar to this rider is the 4633, which would be more equivalent to the Shimano 3450, or what we know as a compact. So we're going to switch these out. Yep, this is the power meter version, so you buy your power meter attached to your chain rings. My opinion on this is still kind of up in the air. I don't know which way I go yet. The Quarq power meter is definitely reliable and durable. Been running them for many, many years. So lots of my customers very happy with Quarq power meters on these. SRAM chain rings are also durable, so I'm okay with that. Shimano power meters, definitely not. Shimano chain rings definitely wear out and are getting very expensive. pedal-based power meters also wear out. You have axles that wear out, the bearings, etc., and the actual pedal body just wears out from you stamping on it all the time. So yeah, I don't know which way my opinion goes on this just now, but for now, I'm fairly happy with this solution. Let's just get this fitted. Right, with the headset fitted, it's time to talk about the more interesting part of buying a BMC bike, and that is the free cockpit swap that they offer. You see, this bike actually comes with this rather beautiful one-piece colour-matched system here, but it's not right for our rider. One, it's slightly too aggressively downward here, but also we need a really versatile cockpit because this is going to be used on various sort of triathlon meets, international, etc., where the rider might be doing several different types of discipline of triathlon or duathlon, and having versatility in your cockpit is going to be really important, including easily adding and taking away aero extensions depending on weather conditions and last minute rule changes and all that sort of thing. So sadly, these are going back to BMC for a full refund, and we have picked up the two-piece aero cockpit instead to give us the versatility that our rider needs. Let me show you what these do. This is it, we're finished, project completed. I want to talk you through all the sort of differences that we made to this bike, because it's definitely not stock as you can buy it off the shelf anymore. All the little problems we found along the way, and give you some sort of insight as to the experience you might expect if you choose to build your dream bike at a bike shop as opposed to just buy it online. So as you buy this bike, it comes with that one-piece aero handlebar. So our first thing was to take advantage of that BMC cockpit swap, because our rider specification was it was to be doing road racing and triathlons as well, and occasionally they need to use clip-on bars, and they might be doing several races at a race weekend, sometimes using clip-ons, sometimes not. So we wanted a really simple way of just clipping these on. So with this BMC cockpit swap, we get this opportunity to use clip-on to the aero bars, which means that we can bar tape up to exactly the moment where these get clipped on, so our rider knows exactly where to position these every single time. We've also added the SRAM blips and a small little Velcro hold, so when they clip these on, they can clip these into the back of the shifter, and of course then they get remote shifting on their extensions. Such an awesome feature. With this cockpit swap as well, we also had a better setup for their Garmin display. They tend to like to use the big Garmin display, so this had much more room for that setup as well. The wheels, of course, are actually stock. This is what this bike actually comes with, the Zip 353, the NSWs with that sawtooth design, and the Cognition V2 hubs. And it comes with Pirelli, some of our favourite tyres. So we were really, really happy with the wheel setup that this came with out of the box. However, down here at the back wheel, we did have a problem. When we first spun these up, the hubs were really, really sticky. And as we tried to rotate and use the free hub, the chain was going baggy as well, which is definitely no good. So we had to take these hubs apart, and we found that one of the little circlips had been sort of badly installed, meaning that the free hub was dragging. So we went in there, cleaned that up, installed it all properly, and now we've got a beautifully smooth running drivetrain. Of course, this is all set up on the SRAM Red Axis system as well. Talking of which, one of the big things we made, because this is a size 51 frame, and the rider, although very fit, isn't exceptionally powerful, and the chainring size that it came with were way too overgeared for what this rider wanted. So we had to take that power meter off and swap that out with, this is the 4433, and marrying that up with the 10 through to 28 cassette gives you a setup much more like a Shimano Compact, which we're much more familiar with. This bike did come with 170mm cranks, which was a big thumbs up from us. Could argue that the rider could have 165s, but they're used to riding on 170s, so happy there. These pedals, I know we've got double power meters at the moment, that's what the rider had. This frame actually comes with carbon bottle cages, which is lovely because they're all integrated into the frame to help those aerodynamics as well, so pretty happy with that. The saddle it comes with was
A lovely saddle. It's one of the Physique saddles with carbon rails, everything, but completely inappropriate for this rider. So we fitted that with the new Cellitalia. This is the Novo Boost for ladies. It's a really lovely saddle design. It's significantly softer around these edges. A real firm favourite among female riders, I think. And of course, that bottom bracket, which most bike shops wouldn't have even taken that out, but we did, and we didn't like what we discovered, so we fixed it, which we've discussed in the video, and we fitted that up with what I think is the best solution for PF41 BB86 to a SRAM dub, and that is using the BB Infinite one-piece solution. I think that spins beautifully. Really happy with that. So here we go. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on a bike, if you really want that absolute custom experience to be absolutely perfect for you, I'll say it's almost impossible to buy your dream bike off the shelf. What do you think? Looking forward to your comments as usual. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.